two things tend to happen at once. You have war overseas and war here, but remember,
killing an idea is far more
financial
difficult.
you turn on any of the business for the first time in my career. Lots of market analysts coming on and talking about the debt cost control, the rising interest rates, and the inability to support manage your sovereign national debt. And that's the tip of the proverbial iceberg. We already have Americans who are struggling with inflation anyway. Now we're looking at potentially drain our strategic oil reserves for all intents and purposes. If the Strait of Hormuz is shut down, if the Suez Canal closes, we're in a lot of trouble. How rapidly can we recover from all of this? How many refineries can we put back into operation? How much drilling can we do quickly? The answer is not very much. So draining that strategic oil reserve is a very serious issue.
But we'll be, as we become impoverished and chaotic and subject to these terror attacks, we'll be winning important moral victories, don't you think?
Well, in our effort to stand at Israel's side and help protect Israel, we have taken a different route and cast moral turpitude to the side. In other words, how do you help one without committing a war crime against the other? This is the problem with collective punishment. This is the problem with annihilating Gaza and trying to sweep out its population. That's unacceptable to us as Americans. I don't think if you sat down any of Israel's most ardent supporters in the United States and said, are you willing to trade the lives of several 100,000 people in Gaza for the lives taken in Israel by Hamas? After all, Hamas and Palestinian Jihad were the fighters. They lost 1,500. There were 3,000 involved in the several waves of the attack. They're dead. Now we're looking at perhaps 5,000 civilians dead. How many more will we witness? Is that somehow or another justified morally? And I think a lot of Americans will struggle with it. That's why I say it would be best if we had a cooling off period. I'm glad that the Israelis are waiting for additional naval power to arrive on station in the Mediterranean, and also for additional equipment, theater ballistic missile defense and so forth. But we need to use this time to think carefully about how far we want to go, because right now it's a one-way street to regional war. And I don't think anybody really wants that if they think about it carefully. Therefore, looking at someone like Erdogan, however slippery we may consider him to be, his willingness to mediate is a bright light in an otherwise very dark sky. And we should look to that, because we don't want regional war. It will destroy us economically. We're already in bad shape. We've already suffered because of the foolish intervention in Ukraine to try to destroy Russia. Now we have Russia more powerful militarily than it's been since the 80s, and it's poised to enter on the side of Iran. We should all give that some serious thought.
Last question. Do you know of any leaders in the United States, political leaders, Pentagon, the Biden administration, who are thinking clearly about this, which is to say, we're framing their thoughts on around what's best for the United States long term? Is anybody
if you don't look like us,
yes, there are. The problem is none of them hold high positions in government, and none of their voices or their analyses or their viewpoints are going to reach anybody in power. I think you have to listen carefully to what Secretary of State Blinken said. He was absolutely unambiguous. We are going to destroy Hamas, whatever that takes. That means regional war, frankly. And anybody who thinks that people are going to say, oh no, we're afraid of America, we're not going to risk it, they're wrong. They are not afraid to risk attacking Israel for fear of coming into confrontation. We are not the power we were in 1991, and they know that. And economically, our position is very fragile, let's face it. So the bottom line is, yes, there are people out there, but they're not being heard, and they're not going to be heard in current.
So what say you, Doug? Is that true that if we don't stand firm and just fight in Ukraine, if we don't do everything to make sure that Israel destroys Hamas here, that our enemies across the world will see that it's looking to move into?
In the 1990s, NATO ceased to be a defensive alliance. It had no raison d'etre. The Soviet Union had collapsed. Most of us thought that the NATO alliance, if one retained its role, should be viewed as something that prevents any further wars from breaking out in Europe. We turned around, weaponized NATO, and hurled it into service over Kosovo, which was not really necessary. We could achieve the settlement there without killing anybody. And a lot of people knew that, but there was a desire in Washington to be righteous and moral and punish evil persons, passionate and demonizing anybody who doesn't cooperate with us and won't agree with us, and turning them into an anti-democratic element that has to be expunged. So
like everybody else. Like 22 states. Taiwan, that's not our job.
Kindergarten school of the state. Roll out the old worn-out tropes from 1941, 42, repackaged and try to mobilize the country one more time. Stupid and involve itself in a war that it doesn't even fight. I think Mr. Netanyahu is doing something similar in Israel. I mean, he's essentially saying it's my way, Netanyahu's way, or the highway. And that kind of approach is going to, I think, be ruined. Israel knows it lives in an environment that has very few friends, if anything. And you want to avoid conflict as much as possible. Now, what Netanyahu and others have tried to do is manipulate build up Hamas, split the Palestinians, and even manipulate them into conflict. It sounds great. Lots of powers have done it. It always fails. And it's failed right here. So I think they need a French approach. But of course, if you regard any compromise whatsoever with your identified opponent, then as essentially unacceptable, you're locked into perpetual conflict. And I think that's what we're headed to. It's not going to be perpetual. It's going to last until the sides are exhausted.
Well, and somebody else might be precipitating that problem because that's what he by the speech last night was he wants another $100 billion to go to all these various partners, $113 billion from 2022 in Ukraine alone. And the question is, can America afford to Biden said during his speech that all of these things will be given to drawdown authority, like they're just discourse, like it doesn't even count, but that's stuff coming out of our war material and our ammunition, and that's making our capacity lower. Now, you're talking about sending more of it out there, and if all of it is to reload our own national security. Now, if we can even get this money, then the Congress is going to provide it. How long do you think this money drop is going?
Well, the Congress is going to do what it's always done, to make a lot of noise and complain about what we do not. Most Americans don't set up Republicans and Democrats because they don't just seem to care what the impact is here in the population. This business of entangling alliances is a disaster. It's no longer needed. We pretend that Madam Albright is still alive and we're still the presidential nation for 5,000 years doing this stuff. And after we leave, the rest of the world will go back to the way it's being before. Unfortunately, that's the way things work. You know, we move into a region, we distort regional dynamics, we create an artificial construct. Look what's happening in Kosovo. It's not surviving.
It's not true, because it's not that you have to have a permanent alliance everywhere. You have an LLC, like you just suggested, when it makes it our interest, let's have a cooperation here. Not having a permanent alliance doesn't mean that we're going to become isolationists in a different world. We're going to have selective engagement where it benefits us and becomes entirely reasonable.
Well, you've also pointed to something else, and that is the expense. Look at the treasury market right now. The Chinese are selling our treasury bonds at a horrendous rate, more than anybody else.